The red and blue lights pierced through the midnight darkness like angry eyes. Judge David Clark checked his rearview mirror, sighing deeply as he pulled his black sedan to the shoulder of Highway 95. He had been driving home from a late court session, exhausted but fulfilled after delivering justice in a complex civil rights case. Captain Mike Stone stepped out of his patrol car, his heavy boots crunching on the gravel. His face was already twisted with contempt before he even reached the driver's window. Well, he sneered, his voice dripping with venom. What do we have here? Another one of you people driving around in fancy cars you probably stole. David rolled down his window slowly, keeping his hands visible on the steering wheel. Good evening, officer. May I ask why you stopped me? Don't you sass me, but... Stone barked, his hand moving instinctively to his weapon. You were speeding, and I bet you're carrying something illegal too. Sir, I was following the speed limit, David replied calmly, his voice steady despite the growing tension. I'm happy to show you my license and registration. Stone's eyes narrowed with pure hatred. You think you're better than me, don't you? Without warning, Stone yanked the car door open with violent force. Get out of the vehicle right now, he screamed, grabbing David by his suit jacket. The judge complied, trying to maintain his composure as Stone's rage escalated beyond reason. Please, officer, there's no need for this, David said, his voice remaining calm but firm. I haven't committed any crime. Shut your mouth, Stone roared, spinning David around and slamming him hard against the patrol car's hood. The impact sent David's briefcase flying from his hand, its contents scattering across the dark asphalt like fallen leaves. The sound of screeching tires cut through the night as two backup patrol cars arrived on scene. Officers Jake Miller and Sarah Lopez jumped out, their flashlights illuminating the chaotic scene before them. Captain, what's going on here? Officer Miller called out, his voice filled with confusion and concern. Stone pressed David's face harder against the cold metal. This criminal was resisting arrest. He lied, his breathing heavy with adrenaline and hatred. Officer Lopez's flashlight beam swept across the scattered papers from David's briefcase. Court documents, legal briefs, and official seals glinted in the harsh light. Her eyes widened as she recognized the distinctive letterhead and judicial stamps. Captain Stone, Officer Lopez said urgently, picking up one of the documents. These are court papers. Official ones. Look at this seal. Officer Miller bent down, examining another paper. This says Superior Court Judge David Clark, he read aloud, his voice trailing off in shock. Stone's grip loosened slightly, but his pride refused to let him back down. I don't care if he's the president himself, he snarled, pressing David harder against the car. He was driving while black in my territory. David lifted his head slightly, his voice carrying the authority of years on the bench. Captain Stone, I am Judge David Clark of the Superior Court. You are currently assaulting a sitting judge, and these officers are witnesses to your crime. You're lying, Stone screamed, but his voice cracked with uncertainty. Check my wallet, David said calmly. You'll find my judicial identification card, my bar association membership, and my court-issued badge. Officer Miller reached for David's wallet with trembling hands. As he opened it, the golden judicial badge caught the light like a beacon of truth. His face went pale as he read the credentials aloud. The radio in Officer Lopez's patrol car crackled to life. Unit 247, this is dispatch. Internal Affairs is en route to your location. ETA 3 minutes. Stone's face drained of color as the reality hit him like a sledgehammer. He released David and stepped back, his hands shaking uncontrollably. This isn't what it looks like, he stammered. Judge Clark straightened his suit jacket with dignity intact. Captain Stone, in my 15 years on the bench, I have seen many officers like you. Officers who believe their badge gives them the right to terrorize innocent citizens. 3 black SUVs pulled up to the scene, their headlights flooding the area with harsh white light. Commander Lisa Rodriguez from Internal Affairs stepped out, her expression stern and businesslike. She had been monitoring Stone's radio communications and received multiple complaints about his conduct tonight. "Captain Stone," Commander Rodriguez announced, "you are under investigation for assault, civil rights violations, and conduct unbecoming an officer." Officer Miller approached her nervously. "Commander, we have documentation here." Captain Stone assaulted Judge Clark without provocation. "This is the third complaint against Stone this month," Commander Rodriguez revealed. "We've been building a case against him for systematic harassment and abuse of power. Tonight's incident will be the final nail in his coffin." Stone's career crumbled before his eyes as backup units surrounded him. 6 months later, former Captain Mike Stone sat in an orange jumpsuit before Judge David Clark's bench. The courtroom was packed with community members and fellow officers who had come to witness justice being served. "Michael Stone," Judge Clark announced, his voice carrying the weight of righteousness, "you have been found guilty of assault, civil rights violations, and abuse of power. I sentence you to 2 years in prison and permanent removal from law enforcement." Stone's head dropped in defeat as the handcuffs clicked around his wrists. Justice had prevailed through the very system he had tried to corrupt. Outside the courthouse, Judge Clark addressed the gathered crowd. "This case represents more than one man's punishment. It shows that no one is above the law, regardless of their position or their prejudices." Officer Lopez, now promoted to sergeant, stood beside him. Judge Clark's courage that night inspired our entire department to implement new training programs and accountability measures. The sun broke through the clouds as Judge Clark smiled, knowing that one small act of dignity in the face of hatred had sparked real change. Hope lived on.